What will the Philadelphia Eagles do with cornerback James Bradberry? Will Howie Roseman cut him? Will he trade him? Eagles training camp getting underway on July 23rd, and it's one of the biggest, most pertinent questions right now on this Philadelphia Eagles roster, and we're exploring all of that here on today's Eagles. Now, I'm Chase Sr. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, I appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. And with that, we shift gears to today's poll question. This will also be the pinned comment, so scroll on down and get your votes in. What do you think the Eagles will do with Bradberry here? Will they keep him type K? Will they trade him type T? Will they cut him type C? That looming question, the future of James Bradberry. What is it? Bradberry is a player who last year was awful, but the year before that, second team All-Pro, and throughout his entire career, he's always kind of had this same pattern. One good year, one bad year, one good year, one bad year. Could he rebound here in 2024 and play like he did in 2022? To me, when I watched James Bradberry last year, it looked like a player who was a little bit slow, who was starting to decline. He's been in the league for a long while, didn't look to be the same guy. But again, you think back to that career path where he's had that Jekyll and Hyde career, which is a big reason why the New York Giants let go of him. And the Philadelphia Eagles get him on that great value deal. He played so well, unfortunately for Philadelphia, they signed him to that big deal going into the 2023 campaign. And now if they do let him go, they're tied to him financially. But league-wide, he's looked at as a trade candidate for teams that need a corner and want to upgrade at that position, or a cut candidate because there might not be room for James Bradberry on this Eagles roster. And shout out to General Manager Howie Roseman for even making this a talking point. Howie Roseman could have looked at the financial situation for Bradberry, which you can spread out the remaining dollars on his contract to help absorb that, and he could have stood pat. He could have said, look, we committed to James Bradberry financially. We're not going to move off of him because of that reason. Instead, he recognized and identified a weakness, he attacked it, and he addressed it. Philadelphia Eagles taking Quinion Mitchell at 22 overall. First time they have drafted a corner in the first round since Lito Shepherd in 2002. How about Philadelphia doubling down on the cornerback position by going Cooper DeJean and trading up for him in the second round? You also have young players like Kelee Ringo and Isaiah Rodgers, who's coming off a gambling suspension, and what was a massive weakness for Philadelphia last year is going to turn into a strength and a much improved unit in 2024. It would have been roster-building malpractice for Howie Roseman to not make any moves at the cornerback spot this offseason. But he knew in order for the Eagles to get back to championship contention, they had to get better at defending the pass. And now you look at this Eagles secondary, and we're really not sure who the other starters are going to be at slot and the other outside corner opposite of Darius Slay. I think that Slay is entrenched as the starter. But other than that, will it be Avonte Maddox starting in the slot or Cooper DeJean? Is it going to be Quinion Mitchell starting at the other outside corner opposite of Slay, or will it be Isaiah Rodgers, Kelee Ringo, Eli Ricks, another solid young player on this team? Or could it be James Bradberry? That is a mystery. But this is what we do know. Philadelphia has a lot of talent at the cornerback position. And you think about the makeup of this Eagles defense here, pretty good up front. They got better, I think, at off-ball linebacker compared to last year by bringing in Devin White. Hopefully, Nakobe Dean can stay healthy. At corner, you've improved. And at safety, you have also improved, bringing in C.J. Gardner-Johnson for the reunion alongside Reed Blankenship. So the Eagles here are so deep at the cornerback spot that James Bradberry has now become an expendable player, where the Eagles have options for what they could do. Cut him or trade him. Pro Football Network exploring a James Bradberry trade. There might not be a more obvious candidate on this list of trade candidates across the NFL than James Bradberry. After a tremendous performance in 2022, Bradberry was arguably one of the worst cornerbacks in the NFL last year. Now the Eagles have added multiple corners this offseason in both free agency and in the 2024 draft. Bradberry was reportedly making the switch to safety during OTAs, but suffered an injury during his first practice. It sure seems like Bradberry's days in Philadelphia are numbered. What's interesting, too, is that when I was at the NFL Combine, Howie Roseman was from me to the camera right there. We asked him, can James Bradberry play in the slot? No, we think of him as an outside guy. Didn't mention anything about safety or in the slot. And Bradberry, during OTAs, the plan was for him to get slot snaps and safety snaps. Is that just a way where Philadelphia is trying to find a way to get him on the field, knowing that he's due that money and he's already got that roster bonus that's guaranteed for him? I think that he could be okay in the slot because he's a little bit slower now, but sometimes players don't have those instincts, and the vision line is much different from outside corner to the slot. We've discussed from Pro Football Network trading James Bradberry. How about cutting him? A to Z Sports with this. Eagles didn't hesitate to draft back-to-back corners in 2024 in Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Now they have 15 of them heading into July's training camp. It's an obvious sign that the Eagles have little to no faith in Bradberry, who struggled last year. Facts. If he doesn't have an eye-popping training camp and beat out these rookies, then don't be surprised if the Eagles might let him go, even if it means eating some money. That's Kelsey Kramer, Eagles beat writer for A to Z. And those are some of the things that we've been talking about in pertaining to Bradberry here on this show. You're so deep at corner. You have some quality players there. You can afford to let him go. And if he struggles, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? Why would you keep Bradberry on this team ahead of an Eli Ricks? Why should he get snaps if he makes the team ahead of more talented players who, right now, you can groom and develop for this year and into the future? Look, he was a second-team All-Pro in 2022, and he played awesome. Him and Darius Slay were one of the highest-graded cornerback duos in the entire NFL. Bringing him back made sense at the time. I applauded the move because of how well he played, and I'll eat the crow on that like many of us have to eat the crow. But look at the numbers he put up in 2022. Overall PFF grade 74.1, coverage grade 80.2, passer rating 54.2. That's passer rating when targeted. Really good numbers there. 3 picks, 675 coverage snaps. But look at how much the production, the play, the numbers dipped in 2023. PFF grade goes down nearly 20 points to 56.5. Coverage grade slashed to 54.7. Passer rating doubles when targeted to 108.6. And interceptions, sometimes you just luck into those. But the point here being, my goodness, we witnessed it with our eyes, Chib, that James Bradberry struggled mightily last year. And then to throw salt on the wound in a playoff game, it looked like he was disinterested. He didn't even want to try to make tackles. So what should the Eagles do? What do you think the Eagles do here with Bradberry? Plenty of options, as we've been talking about.
Yeah, look, it's obvious. He's cooked, just looked a step slow, lost something in his athleticism and his speed. I think the only way he stays on this team is if he can make a successful transition to safety, which, with the injury, he didn't really have much of a chance to show that ability. So right. I think he's going to have to show that in training camp. If he can excel as a backup safety, because, the depth, Sidney Brown injury, we'll see what happens. It's not great. If he can excel as a safety, I think he's gone. I think they would, rather trade him. But, what team out there is going to trade for him? Maybe you can give up, Bradberry in a 7th for a 6th, little swap of picks and, call it a day. It'd be tough for me to see what team would want to take a chance on Bradberry. Maybe they see, okay, he, had a good year a couple of years ago. Can we revive him possibly? I don't know. I'd be looking to get rid of him at this point. Too many young guys that I think are very exciting and have a lot of upside, because you don't want to have to end up cutting a Khalil Ringo or an Eli Ricks, one of these young guys to make room for Bradberry, and then all of a sudden they get scooped up somewhere else. Right. And then they play well, and then you're like, oh, well, we should have just kept him. So I think he's gone. Great 1 year that he had here, but He's clearly cooked. Move on. It's time. You got the young guys waiting.
Yeah, you never know. Another team could say, we need corner help bad, and we think that Bradberry, given his career track record, going to be able to bounce back. Thought you made an interesting point there. Bradberry and a pick to get a pick back just to get him out. That's somewhat intriguing as well. Chip and I always on together on Philadelphia 76ers now. You want to see more of him on Eagles now? Type Chip down in the comments section. He's always bringing the heat, crushing it. Our July sub battle. It has been awesome so far to see this summer, really, how much Eagles now has grown. We led the entire company as far as NFL channels for the most subscribers picked up in the month of June. That's really impressive. I mean, we are dominating the NFL landscape on YouTube with so many other content creators out there. Let's run it back in July here at the company as well, and let's take down the Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? 297 subs picked up since July 1. We're crushing the Cowboys report. Only 149. Hit that sub button. Let's continue to get that victory here on Eagles Now and dominate the Dallas Cowboys, which is always a sweet, sweet thing. If you're still hanging out with us, type real one. That means that you made it to the end of the show. We always appreciate your support. Training camp coming up July 23rd. Soon, we're going to be talking some Eagles football. Cannot wait.